I'm Larry Muhammad. I'm a playwright, and I'm elated, thrilled, and couldn't be happier that Robey Theatre Company is doing my play last night at Mikell's. Um, we're at the Los Angeles Theater Center downtown, April 12th through May 11th. I'll be there myself, opening weekend. So come see the show and holler at a brother.
Poured a drink and toasted one more time. So
Woody
fast.
King Jr. and how Woody King Jr. actually commissioned it. So Woody was telling me about I did this other play that he liked, and he was telling me about well, he asked me, are there other people that you admire, other writers that you admire? And I said, yeah, of course, other writers. He said, would you admire James Baldwin? I was like, yeah, I mean, we all admire James Baldwin. He started to talk about how he would see Baldwin all the time at this club. He gave me Quincy Troop, who did the autobiography of Miles Davis. Uh, I interviewed Quincy. Quincy told me about interacting with Baldwin in this club. Pat Mikell, she told me a whole lot of stories about how this came, how the club started, how it closed. Just stories about the part about how Stevie Wonder was turned away from the door and they had to fire the doorman because you didn't recognize Stevie Wonder.
All the good old days are gone.
All of my plays are research based. Um, Probably color came out of journalism, and you have to know what you're talking about. I don't know if I might have quoted Ernest Hemingway, one of my favorite quotes as a writer. You know, the great thing is to last and to get your work done and to see and hear and learn and understand and to write when there is something that you know and not before. I did a lot of research, read a lot of books. There are two or three biographies of Baldwin. Uh, the Miles Davis biography talked about the friendship with Baldwin and Maya, and she talked about um, how deep their friendship was and how they met and how they committed themselves to the civil rights struggle way before it started. This is when they were, before the 50s, the bus boycotts and the marches were just starting. They committed themselves to each other and to the struggle. Miles Davis was known to be a stand-up black man. He had some edge to him a lot, but that's what it took a lot of times, and that's how you get people's attention. Talking about David Baldwin, he would try to get assignments for him. Uh, he almost acted as literary agent. I mean, Baldwin didn't need a literary agent, but him and his brother were very, very close. So yeah, they were all committed to the advancement of our people and equality for everybody in this country and all over the world. I mean, it means a lot even now, especially when it looks like a lot of people's rights are going to be taken away or at least threatened. People getting put out the country and this and that and the other. Indications that race plays a part in a lot of decisions that are coming out of the American leadership. And so now it's important for us to stand up and remember the example of artists like
With
James
stories
Baldwin, Maya
that we
Angelou, and Miles
told
Davis.
the last night. The
Well, all of them have been
last
inspirational to
night.
me. I mean, me and Miles Davis share a birth sign. That was another thing that I found because of the way he dressed, because of the music he played, because of the women he had, because he was so cool and he didn't take nothing off of nobody. I mean, he would knock you out. Miles was, that was Miles. James Baldwin would not bite his tongue. I mean, I reference in the play uh, this TV debate that he had with William Buckley Jr., who was like the leading conservative intellectual back in, and this was like on TV in front of a crowd of white college students, and Baldwin just ripped him to shreds. Maya Angelou, as you know, she was like not only a poet, but a great activist, protege of Malcolm X. I mean, great inspiration to me as a writer. Support Black theater, brothers and sisters. I mean, it's like August Wilson, probably the most important playwright, the most influential playwright of the 20th and the early 21st century, said it's important for us to have our own theaters, to tell our own. It's always been important to tell our own stories, and we depend on support from the community. I mean, it used to be a question about whether art should be political. Sometimes it needs to be political. We need to address the wrongs, stuff that we see that's unfair, the indifference to suffering of people, putting other people down. Plays address these issues, and it's talked about a little bit in last night in Mikell's because of the activism of these three artists. But yeah, like Al Wilson said, we need to have our own theaters. We cannot depend on support from anybody else. We need to tell our own stories in a way sometimes that other people might not, they may understand them, but a lot of theaters now is corporatized, and even though some artists, some creators may like a play by a black, the board members might not. And then they're talking about doing a season where they want to put on all white plays. I want to go back and do some Shakespeare or go back and with new work. And that's what Robey Theater is about, producing work by new, edgy playwrights with an edge on it. And this is what these artists represent, and the theater community is dependent on it, literally. Buy tickets. There's a way to buy group tickets on the website. Bring a friend. I got friends and family in LA. They're coming. My cousin Quayle, he said he's gonna be there May 4th. He's been spreading on his website. Yeah. My boy Marcus Riley, he's a TV executive, but I know him from down here in Louisville. But he's out in LA and he's coming. Invite your friends, invite your family. It's gonna be all of that, man. I mean, Robey Theatre Company, everybody know they do top work. This is why I'm so thrilled that this is my third time working with them. And so it's gonna be an amazing night of theater. We got amazing cast. Dan Guillory's directing. It's gonna be all of that.
We celebrate.
This play is about friendship. It's about friendship. It's about what friends do for each other. It's about the sacrifices that it takes to create great art. I mean, this is discussed a lot in the play. I mean, when it's set in the 80s, Baldwin is sick and he's in town for some rest and relaxation, and this club is so important to him. I mean, it was back in the late 70s. I mean, Upper West Side, New York, Mikell's was the joint. I mean, iconic people like, one night you would see Toni Morrison there. The next night, Harry Belafonte. These are people we all admire, and they flocked to this club, and it was very important to Baldwin, not only because his brother was the head bartender there, but part of the play is about what friends do for each other in times of need, how they look out for each other, how they support institutions like Mikell's. It's also about sacrifices required to make great art. And these three people, they talk about it. Miles talks about it a lot. Baldwin talks about it. I mean, it was in the context of Baldwin on the spot wanting to write an obituary to this club, Mikell's, because it was so important to him, but he was supposed to be resting and getting some TLC. And that was part of the conflict between them, that, three friends in a bar drinking and just being frank with each other. And, there was some conflict about, hey, he needs to slow it down. He need to create his art. You ain't gonna tell him to wait. If he has something on his mind that he want to communicate, he gonna do it. I mean, it's a compulsion. You can be sick if you want to, but you're gonna go ahead and try to do it. And if you're committed to the struggle as they were, if you were committed to getting a message out, you know, a little cold or like a bad diagnosis ain't gonna stop you. And it's also about getting old. I know that a lot of our audience, not only Black theater, but all the classical arts, the opera, the ballet, the theater, a lot of the audience is aging, and it addresses that issue because at the time that the play is set, uh, everybody is kind of, getting up there, like, and they're dealing with health issues, and they discuss that sometimes in comical ways, uh, but like I say, sometimes they get on each other's nerves about, hey, we need to slow it down. No, he needs to do what he needs to do. Hey, just calm down a little bit. This is maybe the last time we're gonna see our friend. So let's give him a send-off and like just subject him to all manner of ridicule to show our love. Like the people say, give them the flowers while they live. Yeah, they're gonna testify about all his outlandish behavior and his hapless misadventures in a stellar career, but making fun, but showing love. That's what friends do.
at Mikell.
The Black theater is all art is struggling now. I mean, the United States is not a place where we have a national theater where there's um, attention to the arts and resources being put on the arts. I mean, politicians want to take over arts institutions and make them speak, political messages instead of what artists want. It's we need to stick together and support the arts and support Black theater. Um, in a time like this, especially, it's much needed. I mean, when I sit down to write, you can't be worried about um, how this is going to be received or anything like that. You're writing for yourself and you're writing for your people. I mean, all of my plays have um, use the word diverse, but racially mixed characters, most of them. This one is like iconic Black figures. So it's all Black characters. And we are trying to communicate a message about the importance of Black art, the importance of art in our struggle, the relationship between the artist and the community is very important. And this is what the Robey Theater represents. Out there 30 years, doing an amazing job. I mean, I've been writing and producing plays 20 years, and one of the best things that happened in my career by far is being recognized and kind of adopted by the Robey Theatre Company. Sometimes it's making time for yourself, making time for your art. I mean, if you and a lot of times writers, I mean, I was lucky enough to have a journalism career, but my creative art required me to do it like I had a second job. Uh, I would be working during the daytime, but I wanted to get my plays done, so I had to come home and go in the basement and just dedicate a couple hours. Sometimes take time away from your family, take time away from the things that you probably would more enjoy doing than struggling with a play. I mean, there's a section in the play where David Baldwin was talking about one time they were having Christmas dinner and everybody was, eating and drinking, and he could tell that at that very moment, Baldwin was working through a play in his mind while he was sitting there at the dinner table. Miles you know, Miles he had a lot of street in him, meaning that he was like a dude who would do drugs. He was like kind of hard on his women. Um, you know, there have been plays written about that too, about Miles' personality, but he was able most of the time to funnel that into his art. I mean, this is sometimes artists are not troubled people. I don't want to say that, but we get a lot of impressions. Like we are. I mean, this is what about this is what about our personality that we embrace as artists. We want to be very sensitive to everything that's happening around us. I mean, it's sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you want to look away or you don't want to have to deal with this, that, and the other, but you must. This is your calling. Uh, Art makes sense out of life. So you can't turn away from life and call yourself being an artist. I mean, um, and there's the financial aspect of it. I mean, we live in a mercantile economy, which does not value writing, um, directing, acting. Maybe one or two. There's some big stars, but oh man, all you gotta do is nowadays, if you get out of college and get a MBA, or go join some kind of financial institution, you make a bunch of money, man. If you into IT, all that, you can and be very, very respected. You tell somebody you're a playwright, they kind of think that they should be respectful, but they don't really know what you're doing. They there's an audience for art, and it's not a mass audience either. This is why I'm appealing to people to come and support us. Another reason is coming from you enjoy it, you will learn a lot from it, but come and support it. Because artists have to, yeah, that's one of the sacrifices. You realize that you're not gonna make no money. You want to be a writer, just accept the fact that you ain't gonna have, you'll be able to make a living if you're lucky. I mean, if you're a writer and able to make a living off of your art, you are really batting 1,000 because it's difficult. No matter how good you are, we're not really set up for that. Like I said, there's no national theater. Uh, there's commercial theater. There's the League of Regional Theaters, which are like nonprofit theaters and this and that and the other. If the foundations don't help us out, we can't make it on ticket sales. I mean, I know enough to know. I mean, I produce plays here. I got a little theater company, Kentucky Back Repertory Theater, and I can tell you, uh, you need not only foundation support, but you need the ticket sales. You need people to come out and support it and tell other people about it. This is one of the struggles that we have as artists. Not only the time for our work taken away from stuff that we want to do, but recognizing that we need the support that's a sacrifice. You're not going to have money and stuff. You'll be able to, if you're lucky, you might have to take a side job to finish your work and stuff like that, and your significant others, if they're not in the arts, sometimes it's good if your significant your significant other is also in the arts community, because or if you're a journalist, it's good to have a significant other that understands what it requires to be a writer or editor, understands what it requires to be a stage manager. I mean, night work, night work. This is what we're talking about. It ain't 9 to 5 and stuff. The plays are all happening at night. Most of the rehearsals are happening at night. It's these are some of the sacrifices, but you make it because of your commitment. You make it because it can make a difference. If you put your shoulder to the wheel and do what's expected of you as an artist. The artist that we were talking about in the play, Miles Davis, James Bond, Maya Angelou. That's what they were all about through the sharing love through their art. And in the play, they share love with each other. Sometimes it's tough love, tough love. Sometimes it's tender love. But they've shown that the play is like that too. And art in general is about making sense out of life and showing love. I mean, when I was writing the play, it's like anything else. I mean, some people look at me and think that, oh my, boy, he's an artist and he treats it like it's just another kind of job. In a lot of ways, it is. It's 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 perspiration, little inspiration, but perspiration. I mean, the way that I work, I have to put myself on a schedule. You don't sit down and decide to write a play, and then it comes to you, and you get like a spark of inspiration, and it's like lightning strikes, and the words just pour out of you. No, uh, you have to. You got to love it because it requires a lot out of you. So I can't. I was about to say I can't tell you the number of books that I read researching this play, the number of videos I watched, the number of people I interviewed, the hours and hours of writing and rewriting. I mean, this is writing, it's rewriting. The first draft is never it. It can always be better. I mean, you get to a place where you think that it's polished enough to send it out, and if somebody likes it, I mean, and I was lucky. Robey liked it because they saw the effort and the love that I had put into the play, my affection for these characters, my affection for what they represent. It keeps you going when sometimes you get stuck, and what it doesn't, it's maybe you're writing it that night and you think like, wow, this is like amazing, and then you read it the next morning and it's like, no, I got to rework this some kind of way because it's not. But because you care so much about the people you're writing about, and especially historical figures, I would repeat that. Like with historical figures, you have to be really careful. You don't want to make some sloppy mistake just because you didn't turn over every rock. You didn't do all the research because you were kind of lazy. And no, you gotta interview everybody that you can. You gotta learn everything that you can about it. There's no such thing as too much information about a subject. You don't have to use all the information, but you have to know everything about it, to give it context. But that's an expression of your love and affection for the art, for drama, for the theater art, and the historical figures, for the people that you're writing about, an affection for the theater community, so to speak. The theater community embraces me. The theater community, it inspires and supports me. I mean, it gave me another reason to keep on going. When I know people like Robey Theater, they appreciate my work. I mean, ain't gonna do every play that I do, but just to know that people like Ben Guillory, people like Robey Theater respect my work is really inspirational. Let me know I'm on the right path.